Hey everybody, this is Sohan coming to you live from Auckland. Just wanted to make a quick video on 7 different ways of how Olympians can stay motivated. And I thought this was really useful because if you can take the principles of these 7 ways that these professional elite athletes use, I think we can use it too in our lives. I think you and I can put this into perspective and apply the concepts or principles in our daily lives, both professionally and personally. So you might be a person who's in the background of sales, or you might have a professional background of being a doctor or being an accountant or being in the admin department of a company. It doesn't matter where you are, or you might just own your own business, whether it's home-based or whether you have a conventional business or whether you own a franchise. It doesn't really matter. What matters most is taking these principles and seeing how they can fit in with you in your professional lives as well as your personal lives. So I found this really cool article online, and it was talking about these 7 ways of how elite athletes stay motivated, and the way they do that is basically a few steps. I mean, obviously they think about it first, which then affects their attitude, which then shows through or reflects through their behavioral pattern, right? So let's get straight into it. Out of the 7, the first one is talk yourself through stress. The first thing they do is these athletes actually study has been shown that there were different strategies. There were about 158 identified strategies that were copied by most elite athletes from one another, pretty much around the rational thought process of self-talk. Basically what it means is, if you take an example of a skater in the ice Olympics or or a sport that involves top athletes or top skaters, these guys basically focus on using valid evidences or points that can add as winning points for their own visualization. But in order to visualize, they have to first talk to themselves. So they start off by typically saying things like, listen, if I want to skate, I have to skate. I have to do this for myself. I'm not out to skate for anyone else here in this country of mine. I'm out here to do it for myself. This is what they say to themselves. So I'm telling you that you can talk to yourself, and you can talk yourself out of the stress level by saying, so if you're in the sales job, you can typically say, listen, I'm here to sell. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to get my customer to buy. I can do this. I know that I can help my customers see value in my product or my service. Or it may be something to do with your job as a doctor. You can turn around and say, listen, I can do this. I've got 40 appointments today. I can make it happen. They're not 40 appointments, but they're 40 people that I want to help. I want to make sure that they get better. So I can do this. I'm not here for the medical advisory board or the council of my local suburb or city. I'm here for me and these people. I'm here to help them, and I can do this. So that's number 1. The second way to motivate yourself, or how these athletes do it, is they say love or at least accept the grind. So let's take a minute and step back and understand what the grind is. What's the grind? Well, the grind is basically doing something over and over again as repetition, which most of us call as practice. Doing something as practice and then helping us to achieve an outcome which is on the final day. That practice can sometimes get monotonous, and it can be so repetitive that you can get bored easily. Do you think these athletes get bored? Yeah, absolutely they do. But what gets them inspired is that acceptance of having to do it over and over again. And when they do it over and over again, they realize, obviously while they're doing it over and over again, they're constantly assessing it with their coaches, and they're working towards fine-tuning and making changes in order to be a successful athlete. It's the same principle for you and me. We need to practice over and over again what we want to do in terms of our final job. Whether it's sales, or whether it's meeting with a doctor, or whether it's meeting with people, or whether it's handling a business, it doesn't matter. The idea is to practice it. So I'll give you an example here. They say successful athletes were repeatedly described as being intrinsically motivated and loving their practice, not just their competitions. So the reason for practice is so that you can come out strong on the other end when you have to on the day. Well, Terry McKeever, this is what she said. Who's Terry McKeever? She's one of the swimming head coaches at UC Berkeley. And what she says is, the women that I've worked with that medal are the ones that really enjoy the process. So the women that I've worked with that medal are the ones that really enjoy the process. So basically, people or women who actually fought through it and just went hard on the grind, they're the ones this coach really enjoyed working with because the process was so amazing. And ask yourself the question, are you really practicing like it's your final day? I mean, these guys, these Olympic swimmers, for example, with the swimming coach, they enjoyed the working out as much as they enjoyed the actual day of the competition. So when you're doing a practice round, let's say in sales you're doing a mock call or you're doing a role play, or in business you know you're going to prospect, are you practicing it and are you enjoying that practice in your head or in person with someone? If you are, that's great, because that's how much you need to actually enjoy it as much as you are when you're actually out there doing the actual job. So there you go. Point number 2 is love or at least accept the grind, the practice. Number 3 is be optimistic. Yes, I know you're going to turn around and say, yeah, well, this is classic. Be optimistic is in everything. Yes, it is a cliche, but you know what? It's typical and it's really important. Being optimistic and being positive is akin to being motivated. All right? This is exactly what all the top professional athletes do. There is no way in hell that these guys think pessimistically. There is only optimism. There's only positivity. And if you really want to be successful, both professionally and personally, you got to be the person who sees the glass half full. You got to have that intelligent method of turning your mind and reframing anything or any situation in your life that takes place to a point where you say, I am going to make this an optimistic environment for me. So that's the third way you can do it. The fourth way is anticipate things before they occur. Now this is quite interesting. See, I never thought of this one. I'm just going to read a bit that I read from the article. It says, becoming a Navy SEAL requires swimming for 50 meters without taking a breath. One trainer realized that the SEAL aspirants who are most likely to have trouble with this leak are the ones who get intimidated by it before they even actually get to try it. So he began telling them to focus on executing each stroke individually instead of the entire 50-minute stretch. What this means is you need to start working on a moment-by-moment basis. If you know you've got to achieve a massive task, if you know you're going to, let's say for example, you're going to prospect a customer, and you know that's going to take a long time, and you're worried about, I got to prospect this customer first, then I have to pre-qualify him, and then I'm going to have to talk to him and set up an appointment, and then I don't know if he'll say yes or no, and then if he says no, then you have to face the rejection. I don't want to talk. But if he says yes, oh great, okay, then I've got to schedule a meeting with my coach or with myself, or with this person. The idea is not to get so overwhelmed. What this point means about anticipating the things before they occur is actually working on moment by moment. So if it's about prospecting, take every step and just focus on what's happening at that time. So for example, the first step in your prospecting will possibly be having to get to know that person and who they are, what they do. And so if you just start talking about who they are and you're completely present with who they are, you'll see that you can talk and live that moment and enjoy it. And then you can anticipate what's going to happen next. The outcome is important, which is you finish off that and gain an appointment. Maybe hopefully a sale at the end of it, or a business transaction sign off. But at least you know that if you can work moment by moment, you're getting through the process, and eventually you'll get used to the idea of that prospecting phase, and that's really useful. All right. Now, there are 3 more ways of how you can be motivated and you can stay motivated, and I'm really keen to share that. These 3 ways are really the icing on the cake, but I'm going to come up with those in video number 2. This first video was just part 1 of the 7 ways. I've got part 2 for you, but I want to know what you thought of these first 4 ways. So just quickly to recap, the first way is what? Is obviously talk yourself through stress. Second way to keep motivated is love, or at least accept the grind. Third way is making sure that you're optimistic. And the fourth way that I mentioned was anticipate things before they happen, before they occur. Meaning, get in the moment and stay in the moment and work moment by moment and accept the whole outcome, as opposed to feeling overwhelmed and not face it at all. Does that make sense? Now, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, I'd love you to go ahead down under the video and below the video and just post your comments under the video. That's great English, isn't it? Below the video, and post your comments or thoughts about what you thought of this one. And I'm looking forward to give you the next 3 ways of how you can be motivated out of the scene. So stay tuned, watch the space, and feel free to like or share this video with anyone you think would find it handy. But until then, stay motivated and practice these 4. See you in part 2.